If you're watching on the replay, all you're seeing at this moment is simply a 15-second lead-in as we wait for ads to come off before we go live. It is Thursday. It is 7 p.m., which would mean that everybody, welcome to the CarrGuy and SIXFAN show. I'm your host, Grant Tommy, or straight SIXFAN, which means that's SIXFAN of this two-person operation, which would mean I got to point the opposite direction as I want to over here for my co-host.
Yes, and I'm going to take that point, and I'm going to see how I did that. And despite what the T-shirts say tonight, guys, I am the car guy of this operation. And yeah, if you guys are looking for a straight SIXFAN Pistons tee or an old car guy, we're going to leave those links down in the description box below. You can go help us support our channels. And welcome to the CarrGuy and SIXFAN show. We've got a doozy for you tonight, Grant. What is in store for this evening show?
Oh, yes. Well, Jason says a doozy because we're trying something new tonight, which would mean... let's actually rewind for a bit. When Jason and I decided to start this venture, we were always basing it off of the model of these YouTuber subscriber hangouts, these grow your channel bits. I mean, that's how Jason and I ran into each other on one of those. And so we thought, the car niche does not have anything like that. But what's very common on all of those other grow your channel live streams like this, subscriber hangouts, is oftentimes they will do channel reviews. So Jason and I thought, while we are not experts in the field, we have been around the block a time or two in this YouTube world. So we thought we'd give our shot at some channel reviews. But before we get into that, Jason, why don't you give us a rundown of who is in the chat tonight?
Well, so far, there's nobody in the chat. Nobody's speaking. So that's an easy one, but nevertheless, welcome, guys. Yeah, we don't profess to be professionals when it comes to creating YouTube. I mean, obviously, we've both been on YouTube for a long time. Our channel certainly haven't blown up by no stretch of the imaginations. However, because we've been around, we've been learning lots from other YouTubers, from lots of help type shows. We've actually had some of them on our channel back in season 3. Talking to us about what they do. So we're just going to try and take some of that information that we have and help out a couple of extra shows tonight. And we also had thrown some on Instagram, some questions out there for the public. If you guys have anything you want to know about us, you can kind of send us a private message and we'll answer some of your questions. But if there's nobody in the chat tonight, we may not have much of a show. So we're going to have to figure out what the alternative might be for tonight.
Well, Jason, so if you're still in the StreamYard interface, if you might be on the private chat, because I do show Grimm's Auto Service, Auto Alley, Dirty Garage Mods, Trucker Dave, King Eric, the greatest of all, and Auto Alley. I already said Auto Alley's name, but anyway, because it is Bama Mud Motor just joined us as well. So again, reminder: whenever I host the CarrGuy and SIXFAN show this season, I am doing a raffle for this Flowmaster 50 series muffler. It is a 2.5-inch inlet outlet. So every $1 super chat given tonight will get you an entry towards winning this muffler by the end of the season. I think I'm at 108 entries right now, and my goal is to get to 180 because I basically have to make my money back after YouTube takes its 30% cut, and so that's the goal. But we're going to get into the channel reviews here in a second, but we did just also want to remind everybody, season 4 is the first season that is podcasted. You can find us on soundcloud.com by searching CarrGuy and SIXFAN show. And so before we do our first channel review, Jason, anything you want to touch on?
Well, I just refreshed my my browser there for the actual live stream, and a few names have popped in there. So I apologize for not seeing you guys on the first go around. But I do see everybody in there now, so thanks for joining us, and I guess it's about time we get started with the show.
All right, well, with that, we'll see if I can butcher the screen share thing, because I just clicked the button, and it seems nothing is happening.
Season 2.
Yeah.
Season 2.
Well, it can't be that bad. Let's see.
So while he's trying to get that up, guys, if you're joining us on the after show, which is the podcast on SoundCloud, thanks for joining us over there. And if you want to get in on all the live entertainment, the time to do that is Thursday evenings at 7 o'clock Central, 8 Eastern, and 9 Atlantic time. and that way you can join in with all the fun, all the problems that we have getting screen shares to happen, and with our chats not showing up. So, Grant, let's start with the first channel review and get things underway.
Yeah, so with that, our first channel is Doug Rohr. Reached out to me. He was the first one to reach out, requesting the channel review. And this is also, I think, a good time to remind you, if you are listening on the podcast, that from time to time, an episode's going to make more sense to join us just here on the YouTube platform on the live stream so you can see our screen share. But so Doug Rohr, another Kansas automotive YouTube channel, Mopar guy, friend of Scott Speed Shop. First thing, just off the top, whenever you go to a channel, when it defaults to the homepage like you're seeing right here, to see automatically this channel doesn't have content, I would say is sort of one of the things I'd want to fix right away. Because here's the way I always look at it, is that if somebody finds one of your videos, says, hey, this is a pretty interesting video, I wonder if this person has more content like this that I might like, and they click on your channel, and this is the first place they take you, first off, some people aren't going to be smart enough to go any further. Once they see this channel doesn't have any content, like, well, that's weird because I just watched a video. So some people might just abandon ship right there. So you already lost an opportunity to get more people to come your way. So we'll head over to the videos category and wait for my slow computer to kind of catch up. But I would say, so first off, this is what's going to be tricky is, when we talk about releasing videos on a rhythm or on a schedule, well, what YouTube does a bad job of is, like, I see the second and third most recent videos here, say 7 months ago, they give you no indication as to, well, were those separated by 2 weeks? Were they what? Because maybe you were doing a good job of hitting a rhythm 1 year ago, 8 months, 7 months, 7 months. But the fact that you just see this discrepancy in terms of, like, I can't tell what your rhythm is right away, I would encourage you to think about, even if it's once a month, whatever the rhythm's right for you, do that. Because when we talk about the YouTube algorithm, the algorithm's main job is just to look for patterns. And so if it can't figure out your pattern, it's just going to not work in your favor. So I would encourage you on that. Your thumbnails, by and large, it looks like you're using just the YouTube default. And, it does a pretty good job. But it doesn't take too long to just snap a really good photo that you think's interesting with your phone, and then just upload that for a thumbnail. So I'd recommend that as well to help just really drive the point home. I want to talk about your last upload, though, which was just less than a day ago, titled Just a Bernie, meaning a burnout. Well, you might want to think about just how you title things, because the way I always say it is, if you're bored out of your mind in, like, a hospital or a doctor's office waiting room and you're on your phone, you come up with some crazy ideas like, man, wonder if anybody's lifted a Kia Sportage and put it on mud tires, like, they're not going to find it in, like, if you read summer of 2018, that is no indication of what this video is about. It looks like it's about some drag racing. Like, if somebody wants to see hot summer nights at Mocan Speedway, it's going to be hard for them to find it when it's titled summer of 2018. So I also noticed, like, on this burnout video, I would title it something like just a quick 69 Dodge Dart does 20-second burnout or something. Like, don't be afraid to just be a little descriptive. And you had no video description on this one. And then the last thing I'll say before Jason kind of helps fill in some blanks is, I always pick on the about page, because I always, again, go back to if they found one video of yours and they really liked it, they're going to go first to the homepage, and then, at least I personally, I always go to the about page. Like, well, I still want to make sure this is the right fit for me. Like, what are they all about? And this is pretty good. It's just in your face: hot rods, race cars, Mopars, street rods, burnouts, and dirt road racer. But don't be afraid to just be a little more descriptive, like Mopar builds or something. It's hard for me to look at your list of videos and just get a really solid sense. I know what you're about. I know you're a Mopar guy for other reasons, but have a little bit of focus. What do you want the channel to be about? And go ahead and kind of fine tune that in the about page. Jason, what are some of the things you've seen? And I can drive here. You just tell me to go to any tab,
Sure.
and I
Yeah.
can do that as well.
So let's go back to the videos tab just for 1 second, and I will kind of agree with you on all the points that you've made so far. Don't look at this, guys, as we're coming down and being super critical. This is constructive criticism. We want to see you guys succeed, and if you're serious about your page, we want to help you get to your goals and help reach some of those goals. So in this videos library that he's got, you look through and you see a lot of things based on his vehicles. But there is one video, the fourth one over on the right. It's two girls wrestling in Olympic style wrestling, and it doesn't go with the page. And I get what you're trying to do if it's a daughter or a family member of some sort that you're trying to keep that memory alive on your Facebook or on your YouTube channel, then that's fine. But if your channel is all about cars, you shouldn't be mixing that sort of thing with the car niche of what you're doing there. But there was a few of them that I kind of browsed through there earlier of the wrestling. But if you're trying to attract car people to your channel, that might be one thing that they may not want to see in there. Other than that, that was kind of the big thing that I gathered from that. The other thing is that there's really no branding involved, and I get the fact that he's only a small channel, just kind of 42 or 3 subscribers. I can't see it from here, but there's no branding involved with his channel. So yes, he's got some channel art there up on the screen with his coronet or whatever it is,
Roadrunner maybe.
Roadrunner. So. But there's no branding. There's no nothing saying exactly what you've tuned into. I guess that would be my.
And I would say, like, as far as the channel art goes, I agree with you what you're saying there, Jason. But the actual top banner is actually pretty decent. Like, if you're wanting to prioritize, bite off a little bit at a time, I think this can hold up a little bit longer over time. Maybe the avatar, you might want to do something that supports. If your channel's Doug Roar, maybe your initials are the best thing, and then somehow try to work into like those letters or something. What you're about, is it the Chrysler Pentastar is like in the R, the upper part of the R, or something, making that void, or I'm just making things up. But then again, it's just like everything should help support itself. And so again, Jason and I are talking about this not through the lens of we definitely know what we're talking about. We're talking about this through the lens of, hey, we've been here before. We've had, just let the YouTube thumbnail generator do the thumbnail generate thing. We've had videos that are, in fact, I'm going to break Jason's rule that I was tempted to say the same thing about the wrestling, but I'm going to break this rule myself coming up on Friday when we talk about upcoming content. Just because I have a drone now, I'm going to show some of my vacation drone footage, and I'm reluctant to do so because it's off-brand, like Jason said, but because I'm a little more further established, it's okay to mix that in every now and then. But, again, what do you want your channel to be when you only have this many uploads? So 4 times 520 uploads. It's hard, that's already 5% of all of your content is wrestling, and you don't mention anything in the about page to expect wrestling. So that would be kind of my encouragement. But before we move on to our next channel review, we did see some more people drop in the chat. I know our friend Sean Novotaz was asking what the game plan was tonight. We are doing channel reviews, so just wanted to, anybody who's joined here midstream, wanted to give you that heads up. So I'm going to pull down the screen share here on my end, and I'm going to turn it over to Jason. We're going to kind of flip roles, and Jason's going to be the primary assessor of our next channel. Who is?
Yeah, so before we get into that, I just want to address another comment that Sean has made about picking his channel apart. So one of the things that we're trying to do tonight is we're just trying to get our feet wet in seeing if this is something that you guys would like to see. Obviously, so far you're seeming to enjoy this. And so what we're going to have to start doing is if you'd like us to review your channel, then private message either myself or Grant, and we will try and fit that into season 4 into one of our legacy episodes that we don't have a guest. So we really appreciate you guys having this interest, and so we want to thank you for that. So the next channel that we're going to review, and again, as I try and talk and possibly struggle with getting my Chrome tab open up here for
I can pull it back up on my end if you want. In the meantime, Jason, while you...
it should be up there now. So the channel that we're going to be looking at next is Dirty Garage Mods, and he's got 446 subscribers. I've been following this guy for a little bit, and most of his channel is about do-it-yourself type content. And as we kind of scroll down through some of his videos that he's got here on his homepage, he's one step ahead of Doug Royer, where there's actually some content here for people to kind of scroll through quickly without having to do any further searching. So he does have some information there on his homepage. And before I flip over to his videos, I want to make note of the channel art. Although I can see that it looks like a Pontiac G6, and it is in black and white, and the name is there. It seems a bit busy for all that information to be all in just black and white. But again, that's just me. Maybe maybe you should think about maybe adding some color to that. But other than that, it's got the name of your channel on there, a little bit of a brand, and it kind of says something there about what you're doing. So we're going to jump over to the videos tab, and the videos tab is again, we talked about it in the other channel, is just basically using the basic thumbnail that's produced when you upload your movie or upload your video. So maybe a thumbnail, a little bit of extra time and effort involved in that to grab some attention. Other than that, the pictures look really good. I see that on that first one there, but a truck fire is it's got a picture of a burnt truck. So maybe there could be some titling or some text in there somewhere to help describe that. So Grant, I'll throw it your way to see if there's anything in there that maybe catches your eye right off the bat.
I had very similar assessments as you did, maybe a little bit different angle. I thought the truck fire one where you left off, that was exactly one that I think there's a great opportunity, because the thumbnail is actually great because it's selling what you're saying in the description, but because it is how many of us have ever had to deal with a truck fire? Like, that's a kind of rare thing. Like, that's kind of sensational, and I think you can fine tune your title a little more to be more searchable, and I think you would grab a lot of people's attention. But the 4 or 5 dots or whatever between truck fire, I might almost invert it, say something like lack of maintenance. Why lack of maintenance leads to truck fire or something. I mean, I haven't watched the video, so I don't know if that necessarily holds up for what the content actually is. But it's you have legitimate shock value that it's not clickbait, because it's obviously about a truck catching on fire. And so I think this is actually a video that over time could perform very well. You just have to kind of learn, again, go back to thinking about if you're stuck in the doctor's waiting room and you're like, man, I want to see some car fire carnage. Are you going to type into your phone truck fire ... poor maintenance resulting to this? Probably not. Maybe even form it as a question. Can poor maintenance cause a truck to catch on fire? Or something, because that's something you'd probably more likely search in your phone. So remember, YouTube is the number 2 search engine behind Google, and YouTube is owned by Google. So Google's always linking back to YouTube. So you might again, people are probably going to ask, can poor maintenance lead to a truck fire? The channel art, I don't know if busy is the word I would use, because black and white's pretty simple, but I understand what you're saying, Jason. It's hard to with black and white only contrasting on yourself, the text isn't popping off of the door seams because everything's black and white. But to me, I always think about like how can you sell what you're about one more time. And if you're really about the maintenance side of things, like because I see a lot of your videos are like how to replace a radiator hose, O2 sensor, or camshaft sensor, that kind of thing. Think about selling in your channel art something more about like nuts and bolts type of stuff. Like, hey, this is about really just about the wrenching, helping you get back on the road, kind of a thing. Um, that's kind of my take on those two things.
Yeah, and right from the comments too, we read that streetcar culture talks about branding and how branding really is the key to the success of any channel. And he actually paid some money to have a graphic designer do something up for him. So if you've got that kind of money and you're able to do that, that's one thing. But if you are kind of doing it on your own, sometimes just a bare logo, is something that you're that people can identify you by. One of the things that I did, for example, in my last kind of revamp was my logo. I had a beard as part of the logo, so people identify me with the beard, and that's kind of what I did. So branding is a big thing when it comes to YouTube channels, and that's just something that you might want to think about down the road in the future. Your channel is growing. Obviously, you got a few comments in there of people saying they're going to go check out your channel, which is great. That's kind of what part of this is for this evening. And Grant talked about the use of the About page. So let's go over and check out his About page. And he's got a fairly good description on there. It's a little bit wordy, but nevertheless, it's there. He's telling exactly about what he's doing. And, I don't think I would complain or pick that apart too much. But nevertheless, there it is. He's telling you exactly what he does as part of his channel. Anything you want to add to that, Grant?
Well, this is gonna sound bad because I was just gonna lead and say, "Well, I will pick it apart," but I really don't mean it like that. I don't mean it like that, honestly. Well, a couple of things. First off, I did want to touch on the About page. I did also want to say one good thing about the channel for sure. You've done a really good job with your playlist organization. You're very like clear and concise about like, hey, click on this to get like more than one video on Pontiac G6. So you're doing really good there. The About page, and when I say quote unquote pick it apart, I was actually gonna say, no, this is like you wrote your description like me, like I used to. I'm wordy. I want to be upfront about who I am, and so you're kind of like spilling your heart out, and like, so this is me like 2 or 3 iterations ago. So don't beat yourself up. But what I will tell you is like, again, when you're thinking about the person who found one good video and this thing, like, oh man, maybe this person's got more videos that are really going to catch my attention. They might get bored after like, they don't really care that it was supposed to be a channel about this. They want to know what the channel actually is about. So I would just say, even though this is what I always do, because I just want to be upfront. I want to be transparent. This is me. This is how I am. I'm a wordy person. Like, here's what I have to say. Unfortunately, most other people just want to skip to the meat of what you're about. So I would say think about maybe kind of if you can force yourself. And this is a thing I try to do every like year and a half. I always reevaluate the About page, my channel art, and I'm like, is this really the best it can be? Is this really selling? Because you'll transform it yourself. Your channel will evolve a little bit as the time goes on. And it looks like we lost Jason. Must have a bad internet connection, but. So I would encourage you to do those two things. But since you were in the chat, Dirty Garage Mods, I noticed you had said, yes, I'm looking to change my whole page eventually. So tell us a little bit about that, and maybe we can help you coach you along as you try to evolve your channel or think about changes. Tell us a little bit more about that. Jason, welcome back.
Wow. So yeah, a little bit of a noob move. Instead of exit screen share, I left the studio. Thank you very much. But I'm back. So one thing that I'm also noticing too about doing this type of a format is that there's so much more in depth that we could do per channel that I'm thinking that in the future we may only choose one channel to do on a given episode, because we didn't even dive into any of the videos or descriptions or tags or anything like that. So just something to think about for the future is we may only want to choose one video or one channel and go from there. But having said that, like we said before, we don't want to come across as A, being know-it-alls, but B, being too critical because we've been where you are and we know what it's like when somebody comes in and picks our channel apart, and we're feeling like this high and say, I put a lot of work into that, and now you're sitting there beating on me. Well, all we're doing is giving you information. You guys can do with it what you wish and move forward with that, I guess, is kind of what we're trying to say.
Well, and the other way I look at it is like, well, if I would have known better sooner. Like, we're trying to help you. Like, I've been doing this for 5 years. I'm only at 1,800 subscribers, and I think I tell a lot of people, like, no, I think you can get to 1,800 subscribers in faster than 5 years. Like, it's, there's I'm still learning a lot of things, and there's a lot of things with my videos that I need to work at and get better at. So, again, just think of it as we're trying to help you guys skip in front of the line a couple spots. By telling you these things. So, with that, and I will say, Jason, I kind of tend to agree with you. It's probably better to do a little deeper dive into each channel. I don't know if the internet on my end is going to do a great job supporting streaming a video on a screen share, so I don't know that we'll watch actual videos, but questions from you guys, and I know we had Dirty Garage Mods. I know he was like, his workday was about to start, so he was in the chat pretty late there, and he had made a comment about looking to change his whole page eventually. And so I was hoping he could kind of expand on that and give us some little insight into that, and maybe we could help coach him to which directions to make. Because that actually brings up a really good conversation, Jason. I think you were following a little bit on Twitter between me and another YouTube creator,
Jeffrey.
I was going to say, I think I know him well enough that I don't think he minds us throwing his name out.
There you go, huh?
Yeah,
it's out there now.
Yeah, but he is, he's the type of guy who, he actually does great work.
Very good.
But he's hit the reset button on his channel like 3 times. And it's like, dude, you got to keep rolling with something. Like hit the reset button and start from scratch, I think is more detrimental. Now, it's one thing if it's like, okay, I started off doing this channel about RV campers and I'm really not into that anymore. Like, there's one thing, like, don't force yourself into something you're not passionate about. But I think Jeff was fairly passionate about each of these iterations, and then he gets to a point, he's like, gets frustrated, like, I'm not growing, and it needs to be more pure, and then he just starts over. So Dirty Garage Mods, definitely don't do that. So, because I think
do not reset. Do not reset your channel. Just revamp it. I think it's easier
to evolve it, and I think you've got the pretty good chassis there to build off of. And so it looks like you said you don't beat yourself up over criticism. My channel is about anything with an engine. I've done really good on views, and I'm going to be doing more fun projects and looking to move from DIY. Okay, so you're trying to kind of shade from the DIY type thing. So one thing I'll encourage you there is, we all think like there's another channel out there who has a very similar description to that. He says anything with a motor is what he's interested in, but his channel is really all about working on Chevy trucks. So I would caution you to think along the lines like, I'm just a car guy, anything that moves, I'm going to do a channel. Like, there's so many people out there doing this. I mean, I don't know how many users there are on YouTube, but don't be afraid to niche down and be a little more focused. I mean, my whole thing offbeat hot rodding is I want people to know you're not going to find 69 Camaros and 72 Novas on this channel. Like, that's just not what you're going to find on this channel. So think about that.
And Trucker Dave had mentioned, and Trucker Dave doesn't have a channel yet. I'm trying to get him to that point. But he did say evolve or die, LOL. And there's no laughing out loud about it. It's the truth. You really need to evolve your channel because you go back to Grant's very first video or my very first video and
please
compare
do, everybody.
Yeah, and you see that versus the ones that we're producing today, and you'll see the growth in ourselves. You'll see the growth in our ability to talk to the camera, and everything evolves over time. Our channel art has changed. I've rebranded myself already once, and I've only got 4,200 subscribers. So as you grow, you're going to evolve. When you're a small, and I say small, if you're under 10,000 subscribers, you can make as many changes as you want, as far as I'm concerned, and still not be that detrimental to what you're doing and your presence you're trying to create on YouTube, because there's so many people out there that want to see exactly what you're doing. You just got to find them. And part of that is getting in there with the tags, the thumbnails, the titles, all that stuff is part of it. You can have crap videos, but if you're tagging and you're titling and you're thumbnailing properly, you're going to get noticed. That's the thing.
Yeah, I'll say I've heard a lot of people debate the tag thing. Like it used to be a lot more important than it is now. I don't really know exactly how important it is. I don't really care. I do know that what do they call that? The click through rate is a analytic now in our analytics, and all that really means is like if you think about someone picks up their phone and they're just swiping through their sub list, like doing that a bunch of times. Well, that's where like thumbnails probably your number one thing you should probably spend your most time on, because that's going to catch the eye first, and then oh, what's this about? And then you'll read the description. So like really, I mean, if you bang for your buck, I would invest your most energy in thumbnail and description, or thumbnail and title, and then shortly after that description, and then shortly after that, I would say tags is how personally that's how I view it. But
Yeah, and he says that he's not in it for the money. And guess what? None of us are in it for the money when we start. When you do start getting a few dollars here or there, that's just money you can reinvest into your channel to do projects or to do this or that. I think someday when we do grow to the point where it's substantial amount of money, it is about the money. You do try and create videos around what attracts people to your channel, whether you turn it into a full-time job or it's still just a hobby. I don't have any aspirations of quitting my job anytime soon, but I know my wife would like to. But I don't think we're going to base that simply on YouTube. But anyways, we're getting ready to wrap up the show, and a couple of things that we do want to touch on is we want to do this again if you guys will let us, because I think that we have a lot more to offer, and we've had some pretty good conversation back and forth between the chat in here. So if you guys would like to see another one of these type episodes of channel reviews, go ahead and tell us so in the chat right now so that we can have that for future reference.
I did want to hit on two things. One that you said, Jason, and one comment from the chat, and that was that I don't think any of us really I didn't start my channel thinking like, yeah, one day I'm going to be full-time YouTuber. But as you get into it, you're like, hey, actually, no, this is a platform that allows you to do that. Like, there's a way to do that. I haven't figured that out yet. And that's a whole nother episode for a whole nother time. But the way I always say is like, look at it this way, though. It's like, well, but if you're going to invest the time and energy to put your hobby out for the world to consume, if you can make money at the same time while doing your hobby, why not? And so, like, yeah, I'm not in it for the money, but if I can make money off of it, why would I stand in the way of like putting my best foot forward to do so? And so that leads me to my second comment where Scott Speedshop mentioned, he said he wanted to play devil's advocate a little bit here, where Jonathan W. has 98,000 subs and growing constantly. And he done zero branding, no fancy editing, just awesome content. And that's true. Like, that works for some people. It does. But I'm just saying, like, your odds for success, like, take Dirty Garage Mods, for instance. So I went to Jonathan W.'s channel. He's been doing it since 2014. So he's got 4 years. I don't remember how long Dirty Garage Mods has been. I think he said since 2011. Well, it's not working for him to do it the Jonathan W. way. And so now we need to figure out how to get more exposure and more noticeability. And I will also say that just looking at Jonathan W. on the surface, because I don't know him, his video titling is very well done, and his about page is pretty concise. But yeah, he doesn't have fancy channel art, doesn't have a fancy icon.
Well, and if I can jump in there just for a second too, one of the things that Jed said was awesome content. Right, so there's one key of that combination that you've got. If you've got awesome content, I said earlier that you can have crap videos and still get noticed. But the thing is that if you're making awesome content, kind of the rest of it don't matter.
Yeah, people gravitate and find it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's definitely where Jason and I are not going to want to try to act like we're experts.
Yeah.
We do pretty good content, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So today on Old Car Guy, we are going to. I dropped the script. No, see. What? Look, we could beat this thing all night long. I guess at the end of the day, I think both of us, Grant, you can agree with me or not. I think we had some fun with this with this format, and we're catching it from the chat. I think we have the opportunity to do it one more time, or at least again in the future. We're running out of time a little bit here tonight before we get going too far. So one thing that I want to do is I do want to get a channel update in here for both Grant and I, because Grant has posted his video yesterday, the first one in a few weeks. So maybe Grant, you can tell us a little bit about what's to come on your channel.
Yeah, if it wasn't acting like November here, since I did push the Fairmont out of the garage, it's been all dreary and rainy. I've been actually pretty busy too. I need to investigate. It appears the float as well as the needle on the carb. I think I'm not too far away from startup, but I did mention a little earlier, because I do own a drone now, you will be seeing some off-brand content, probably 2, maybe 3 videos in the near future of some drone footage from my vacation, but they're short videos, and they'll be my secondary uploads of the week, my Friday uploads. So, Jason, what's coming down the pike for CarrGuy?
Well, there's a couple of things on the go, and one of them is I bought another project car. So that video is going to be coming live tomorrow night at midnight, so midnight my time. You guys can catch that. I'm going to warn you, I'm probably going to get some hate for this one. Just land it on the line. And secondly is I do have, and I have secured no. Although no. I have secured a sponsorship for the channel for a video, and that will be coming up. I'm probably going to record it soon, but it'll probably not get put out for a little bit. A buddy of mine, you guys remember when we did Blowing Bubbles, Justin, he's the fellow that fired the kill shot. He's picked up a vehicle, another one. So when we go out to do the PT Cruiser blow up, we're actually going to have some fun. We've actually secured 2 other vehicles. So Junior, who is my son, myself, and Justin are going to be out that day. We're going to make a couple of videos. We're going to have some fun with these 3 vehicles. One of them, the PT Cruiser, will get blown up, and then I'll release that video once I've hit 5,000 subscribers, which really is just around the corner, about 720 or 30-ish subscribers away. So that's my update. Grant, anything else we want to add to this show before we...
There was just one other comment I kind of want to respond to from mostly Mopar IH. He did make a comment where he says, if somebody says this in the first 25 seconds of video, if they say the same thing on every video, he just skips it because he knows it's coming, and what's the point of... And so, like for me, I open all my videos with a value proposition, which is helping you build your hot rod and your confidence without a ton of money. Well, for the normal subscribers, while it might sound like it might get kind of like monotonous, I can totally feel for that. But you have to think, like, if someone's watching you for the first time, I want them to know what I'm about, and that goes back to like the about page thing. It goes back to your channel art. If somebody finds one video they like of yours, and they were like, "Am I going to subscribe now or not?" Like, let them know what you're about page, channel art, channel proposition. So that's why I do that. And so that's the thing. You're always weighing against, sorry to annoy the normal subscribers, but I want to like have an opportunity to gain more subscribers, so think about it that way. And that doesn't mean it's the right fit for everybody. If somebody doesn't like that, you don't want to do that, don't do it. But for me, I think there's value to it. So,
well, see, part of what you and I offer on both of our channels is that we're not strictly how-to. We're not strictly vloggers. We're not strictly any one particular thing. We just like to tell a story, and one video generally will lead into the next. And that's kind of, I chose to do it that way simply because if somebody stumbles upon one of my channel or one of my videos, they may want to go back and see how I got to this video via what happened a week ago or 2 weeks ago or a year ago or whatever. So sometimes it's on purpose, sometimes it's by mistake, but it works for some and it doesn't for others. Nevertheless, we're just trying to do it our way, and it's the slow way for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we did channel updates. We basically talked about growth hacks. We've had a primary, I think we've basically checked everything off aside from, well, talking anything specific about cars. Jason, other than you saying you have a new project car, I guess we'll just save that for next week's episode. So we have a special guest. We're actually going outside of the YouTube realm to bring in our guest next week, and we're talking about an automotive industry leader in custom wheels, kind of like a competitor to Forgeline, and that is Jason Rushforth of Rushforth Wheels. So that, of course, is going to be on Jason's channel. So Jason, I'll let you expand a little on that, remind people where they can find you, and just close this thing out.
Yeah, so hopefully if Grant has done his homework properly, he's listed my channel in the description box below, so you guys can go over there, click that link, subscribe to my channel. That way you'll get notified when I go live on the CarrGuy and SIXFAN show and with any other videos that we drop. Yeah, so next week's show will be on my channel. I hope to see you all over there. We got a lot of regulars jumping in here every week. That's great to see those numbers build up. Don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to share it out with your friends on your social media. And guys, we'll see you next time. Stay focused on the windshield, not the rearview mirror. We love you. Let's do it again next week.